We've reported extensively on this broadcast about the unreliability of electronic voting machines without a paper record. But now Congress is proposing legislation that would continue funding touchscreen voting machines without a paper trail. As Kitty Pilgrim now reports, the legislation comes at a time when many states are banning that technology and moving to verifiable paper ballots.
A bill put forward by Senators Dianne Feinstein and Bob Bennett calls for new election security measures, audits of all elections, millions of dollars to states for new election equipment, and money for research on new voting technology. But the bill would also provide funds for touchscreen voting machines that leave no paper trail. Groups that advocate a return to paper ballots are outraged.
This bill amounts to a public boondoggle for the private companies that have marketed these flawed electronic voting machines. We're talking about the allocation of millions of more of taxpayer dollars to a product that we know is unreliable in the counting and recording of votes.
The bill would allow electronic votes to be counted and audited electronically.
We can't have a situation in which the correctness of election results is dependent on the correctness of software, because you cannot guarantee the correctness of software.
For that reason, paper ballots, which can be recounted easily and accurately, are gaining ground. Many states have banned electronic voting or have laws that phase it out, including Florida, California, Iowa, Maryland, Tennessee, New Mexico, Colorado. Virginia and a handful of other states have a policy to eventually replace touchscreen machines as they wear out with paper ballots. Because of that, about half of the nation's voters will cast paper ballots this year, up from 35% in 2004. Senator Feinstein would prefer a bill requiring paper ballots, but could not get one passed. She calls this measure a compromise.
Now, Senator Feinstein's home state has decertified touchscreen voting machines and moved to a paper ballot system. Her office today explained they would like to require a paper trail in this new legislation. They have proposed bills in the past that have called for it, but those bills failed, and now they have to deal with the reality of what they can get passed in Congress. That's what they say.
If Congress were to pass this, Congress should be run out of the nation's capital. It's bad enough that a sitting senator would introduce the legislation. This is irresponsible, unconscionable legislation, and Senator Feinstein, whatever else she is sufficiently knowledgeable and intelligent enough to know that without accountability, anything can happen in this democracy of ours. They
had a hearing today. She started it by saying, "I wish we could have paper ballots, but," and then they continue the hearing talking about.
They should put a nail on that door. Shut the room off until this little whim, this madness passes. One would think that she would pay some attention to what's happening in her home state. Oh, I forgot. She's a sitting senator in the state of California. My goodness. Kitty, thank you very much. Kitty Pilgrim. And yes, Senator Feinstein, we assure you, Lou Dobbs tonight will be following your every move through this new edition of utter legislative madness. We like to make those promises to certain people who always gain our attention and, of course, favor.